We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Credit Karma makes building your credit straightforward and stress-free with help from our credit builder. Sign up today at creditkarma.com and start enhancing your financial health. Credit Karma, your partner in building a brighter financial future. Credit Builder plan is serviced by Credit Karma Credit Builder and requires a line of credit and savings account provided by Cross River Bank, member FDIC.
What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the Max Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts all things Mac, all things football, all things sports, right here, Mac Sports Connection, baby. The Mid-American Conference best, bringing it only the greats, Mac, to everyone.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Max Sports Connection podcast. I'm your host, Alex the Captain. The Max Sports Connection is part of the Varsity Podcast Network presented by Lairfield. Thank you for joining this week. It's a new week. We're officially over halfway through the college football season of 2024, which is unreal to think about. We waited and waited all summer long, and now it's halfway done. It's been pretty incredible, but we have what I think is the biggest rivalry game in the Mid-American Conference this week, and that is the Battle of I-75. I admit I'm a little biased being an alumni of the University of Toledo, but I think it's pretty well accepted that this is probably the best rivalry in the conference and one of the great rivalries in the country that frankly doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm doing something new this year, and whenever I do a big rivalry game, I didn't do it last week for Miami versus Ohio. Frankly, I just ran out of time, but we're doing something new this year, and I'm going to be bringing on special guests for each of these big rivalries. And I'm going to start with somebody you guys know and hopefully love because I think they're pretty incredible, but a good and dear friend of mine who unfortunately went to that school down south. Guys, please welcome Not So Cool Jules, as her Twitter handle says, to the show. Jules, thanks for hopping on.
Oh, yeah. I'm the biggest Bowling Green fan you'll ever meet. So the perfect person to have on for this episode, as I very much despise Toledo. And obviously the recent band controversy has not helped with that at all. I will say that, but I'm very excited for this weekend. And I'm glad it's finally on a Saturday again, even though I will not be able to attend because of Halloween. Unfortunately, I was so excited to attend and now I can't.
Jules went to the lesser known rivalry, the Anniversary Award with Kent State last week, a 27-6 win for the Falcons there at Deutsch Perry Stadium. But she decided she didn't want to be around that much blue and gold this weekend and is opting to stay down in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that drive is brutal. I've never driven to Cincinnati from Toledo or vice versa, though.
It's a long drive.
That's long because I just came back, obviously, from Bowling Green this past weekend where we demolished Kent State, as we should, because they have not won a game. And I would have been very sad if we lost. I wanted to go to a game where I knew for a fact, a home game, I want to clarify, I wanted to go to a home game that I knew for a fact that we would win. And that honestly, if we would have lost to get Kent State, there would have been a lot of reconsiderations for me.
Do you know, question about that Kent State game? Do you know if there's like an actual trophy that goes between the two schools? Or is it just kind of a, hey, this is a rivalry kind of in name only?
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't even think I realized it was much of a rivalry until like 2 years ago. So I don't know if I don't think there really is a trophy, because to me, Toledo obviously is the number one. And honestly, I hate Miami way more than Kent State. I've never considered them much of a rival. So I just feel like it's not like that big of a deal, at least to have a trophy. I don't know. I
So
haven't
that was
seen
a
it
trick
yet.
question. That was to see how big of a BG fan you were. There
Oh
actually is a
no.
trophy.
Oh well, damn.
Um,
Now I'm
and
gonna
it
get
and it's
fucking.
more of a plaque than it is a trophy. But it's the anniversary award commemorating the founding of Kent State and Bowling Green in 1910. That's when both were founded,
Oh.
and that's why it's called the anniversary award, to honor both of those schools when they were
Oh.
founded. So you're not
But
starting off great being the biggest
damn.
BG fan out there.
How is that a rivalry award though? Like
How do we
like
have
I've never
some of
seen
these
them.
we have the Floyd of the Floyd of or the Rose of Floyd or something. I some Wisconsin and Minnesota rivalry. Like I mean there's some really weird rivalries out there.
I
But
just
I think it's kind of cool. Both universities founded the same year. An opportunity to kind of show that respect and support for each other as state institutions. But yeah, that was I recognize that was a bit of a trick question, and I
that was a
apologize.
trick question. I'm being gaslit. Just kidding.
You are,
I
you
should
are.
have
Where
known that. I gotta do my
I mean,
research.
I was gonna say I'm wearing my Toledo shirt. You should have known what you were getting yourself into
I
coming
know.
on to
I'm
today's
sorry,
show.
everybody. I'll do more research on my school. I paid a lot of
Man.
money to them, so I should probably do that.
Anyway, so Jules, let's get into this matchup. It's been a great rivalry series since frankly since Scott Leffler's been there. He's done an excellent job in this rivalry with Toledo Bowling Green, a rivalry that for a decade was dominated by Toledo, despite Bowling Green having some MAC championship teams. You know, this was a Bowling Green era where they would lose to Toledo, but they would beat ranked Northern Illinois to prevent them from going to another BCS Bowl. Or they played a lot of games in the mid 2010s with Northern Illinois in the MAC championship. Bowling Green won 2 of them, and then the program collapsed entirely. The Mike Jinks era, it was just an awful time. But then Scott Leffler came in, the cupboard was bare. He knew what he had to do. And in 2019, he reignited this rivalry with a big win down there at Deutsch Perry in his first year as the coach. And now we see the last 3 years, the road team has won this rivalry game. And I think that's a testament to prepping your team for the road game.
Oh yeah. During my time at BG, there was definitely still like my first year, there was definitely a lopsided victory, and I'm trying to remember the other year. Yeah, for sure. I remember. I think that was like my first game, and it was rough. And then obviously Leffler won the one in 2019. I was there. That was a fun time. And then obviously it's been pretty back and forth. Oh my god, back and forth ever since then. And then the last 2 years have been really interesting games, especially last year when we got up like 28-10.
Yeah,
And
it
then
was a big lead at halftime,
it was
and
so
yeah, that was rough.
ultimately like we're doing great. And then like I think Fannin Jr. even had 2 touchdowns for the first half, and then the rest of the game nothing. Like nobody. They just kept stopping us. And I kind of had a feeling when we got up that early. I'm like, oh man, someone's gonna make halftime adjustments, and it's probably not gonna be us. And that's what happened. I was a little nervous. I did predict it, but I was also I was a lot on Twitter, and I was probably a lot towards you when we went up 28-10. I'm like, yeah, we got this. And then come out the third quarter, and I'm like, okay, maybe we don't. Anything with my teams, as I know, being a Reds fan, a Cavs fan, a Bowling Green fan, and whoever else, is no lead is ever safe. And
It's
that so true.
I remember you texting me during that game, just being extremely hype, and I feel like I remember telling you something to the effect of it's a good thing there are 4 quarters to this thing. Although if I'm being
Yeah.
really honest, I wasn't feeling too confident after you guys were up 28-10. But Toledo stormed back, won on a 59-yard touchdown from DeQuan Finn to Jacquez Stewart in the final minute to win that game. Again, like you said, a great game. The year before, we had an epic finish where Bowling Green stormed down the field with less than a minute to take the lead and to punch their ticket to a victory in the rivalry. And like you said, we've had some fantastic games. Let's talk about this year's game. We've got two teams who they're both 2-1 in conference play. Both are looking the part of potential conference contenders. What are your thoughts here? What jumps off the page for you?
Well, considering half the conference is 2-1, it definitely means a lot for both teams. With all the wins we've had this year, I haven't been overly impressed with any of them outside of Kent State. I do understand that Kent State has not won a game, but if you're looking at the other two teams, to me, Fordham, we also blew out. They haven't won a game. Akron has won one game, and we barely won against them. So I don't know. I'm feeling all right just looking at who you guys have also played. Obviously, we started off the season pretty tough with Penn State and Texas A&M and only losing by a score in both of those games. I was really
combined
excited.
13 points.
Yeah, and then we come back at home and lose to Old Dominion, who we very much should have beat. That concerns me. NIU, I felt like could have went either way. I don't love that you guys beat NIU, but then I'm looking at some of your wins and I'm also kind of like, okay, the Mississippi State win was impressive. It is an SEC school, but they're also, I believe, if not dead last, they're pretty close to last in the SEC.
Last I saw, 13th in the conference. Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't love that. And then Miami isn't a horrible team. I mean, that's a good win, losing to Buffalo, but I know they're good. So I really do feel like it could go either way. I don't know. I feel like we have momentum after the Kent State game, but you guys also just beat NIU, which is arguably a more impressive win as a team that beat Notre Dame. So I just hope people that need to play their role actually do that, because we are very inconsistent sometimes. But I do like the fact that in this rivalry, the away team has seemed to win the past 3 years now. So I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of like it. And maybe we'll play with a little edge because the band got screwed over. I don't know.
There you go.
Bulletin board material.
There you go. In some subtle way, right? I think, when you look at Bowling Green, you can't help but mention offensively Harold Fana Jr. Not only does he lead all tight ends in the country in receiving yards, he has 873, which is insane through the half a season. He has 5 touchdowns as well. Not only does he lead all tight ends nationwide, he leads the entire Mid-American Conference in receiving yards. The next closest to him is Jerwan Newton out of Toledo, 581. Now he has 8 touchdowns, so he's been able to, string together a few nice catches. But I think you would be very, very remiss if you're looking at this game. For me, I think the number one key, shut down Harold Fana Jr. He's averaging 125 yards a game and almost a touchdown a game. So, I mean, he's automatic at this point, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. I'm very impressed with this. And I'm going to be shocked, one, if he stays here next year. And two, the fact I think he could very easily get, I want to say easily, but he's definitely NFL talent and he's very fun to watch. Last game, I know it's hard to compare, it is Kent State, but they're still another Division I college. So he went for 171 yards with 10 receptions. He's keeping it up. I really like what I'm seeing out of him. And last year, like I said, he had 2 touchdowns in the first half and then they shut him down. But not only him, they shut literally everybody down. So we just need other people to step up. And Terrion Stewart had a pretty solid game against Kent State as well, mainly because their O-line was doing really great for Connor Bazelak. So if we could just carry that, and I know Toledo's a better team, but we just got to carry that in, because then more plays can be created. If Fannin is shut down, we at least have a little bit of a running game hopefully going on. If not, I don't know, man. I'm stressed. I feel like this game could really go their way. My prediction doesn't say that, but I'll save that for later. I'm feeling all right about it, I guess. I don't
Uh,
know.
I'm looking at your ground game this year, and for as great as Harold Fannon's been, it feels like it's been the Harold Fannin show. The
Yeah.
Basilak to Fannin, Basilak to Fannin. I'm looking at this ground game for Bowling Green, and Jason Patterson is your leading rusher. He's got 248 yards on the year, 3.88 yards an average per carry, but he's putting up only 35 yards a contest. And then when you go and look at defensively, and I think this is where I'm kind of shocked for Toledo and Bowling Green, honestly, is when you look at it defensively, Toledo is third in the MAC in rushing defense. Northern Illinois finally had a team break the 100 mark, so they finally are over 100 yards per game that they've given up. But Toledo sits at third at 120 yards a game. If I think you got to say you're in trouble on the ground. I'm not confident in Bowling Green's ground game. And I feel like I've said quite the opposite the last several years. Teron Key, Terrion Stewart, I mean, some great backs. And now it just feels like there's a momentous shift the other direction where you're like, I'm not confident.
Yeah, honestly, from an objective standpoint, I agree because I do think teams haven't really been able to figure out how to shut Fannin down. But when there's those points where they do, I mean, it just feels like we're not utilizing really anyone else. I felt like we did a slightly better job against Kent State, but I don't feel confident as a fan right now that, like, I don't know how to word this, but I feel like our losses to Penn State and Texas A&M were more impressive than any games we've won.
Sure.
Like, those were better games from us because I feel like a lot of it had to do with those teams kind of saw us, laughed, and thought they could slack off. But also credit to us, of course, because that's insane that we're able to even stay as close with those teams. But like, other than that, none of our wins have really been impressive. And that's mainly because we have Fannin Jr. Without him, I feel like it would be a rough season for sure. And teams are going to easily shut that down. I'm sure Toledo has been watching film on him literally all year. That's going to be their plan, to shut Fannin down. We don't really have much else to worry about.
Well, and I think this too, you talk about them playing close with BG or with Penn State and Texas A&M, but then coming home and losing a close one to NIU, to Old Dominion. I think when you look at it and you look at it objectively, it seems like BG's playing to the level of their competition. They're playing up, but then they're also playing a little bit down. And they've done that with Toledo the last couple of years. Toledo was a 10.5-point favorite last year in this rivalry game. Toledo walked out of Bowling Green with a 1-point last-minute comeback win. So I feel like, to BG's credit, yeah, the wins aren't there, but if they're playing to their competition and every single game comes down to really who has the ball last, that could bode well for the Falcons. It could spell disaster, of course, but I think that could potentially bode well for BG.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I'm looking at these defensive numbers too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I'm looking at these defensive numbers. Bowling Green scoring defense, they're third in the conference. They're only allowing 21.4 points a game, and that's including the games against Penn State, including the game against Texas A&M. So they've been better than that just in conference play. Pass defense, they rank second in the Mid-American Conference. They're only allowing 161 yards a contest. So I think this is a really good Bowling Green defense. Now, rush defense, not so great. They're allowing 180 yards a game. So if Toledo can get the ground game running, I think, that's going to open up the passing for the Rockets, of course. But I got to say, like, this is a solid defensive team. They rank third in total defense in the MAC, only allowing 340 yards a contest. I think maybe you can look at some of your defensive players. Nobody jumps off the page to me. I was looking at guys who like lead in tackles and things like that. In the conference, CJ Brown, Joseph Sipp rank 18th in tackles. I mean, they're not jumping off the page for me, but you've got a lot of guys who they just play good football. They play smart football. They play, I call it Leffler ball, because they come out, they play smart, and they try to minimize their own mistakes as well as minimizing the opportunities for the opposing team. But this is a solid BG defense who's played some really good teams. And I think that's getting overlooked just because of their 3-4 record.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with that. Our defense is pretty strong. There's really only one concern I have, but I'm going to start off with the positive just to add on to what you said, is we also have 19 sacks this season, which is tied for 25th in the FBS. And then the thing I'm concerned about, though, is last year, I believe we had like 28, 29 for like turnovers. And we had 3 in the Kent State game, which was more than anything combined in our like any game before Kent State. We had 4 total interceptions this year. I don't know. I don't love that, but I wish we caused more turnovers. So that would be nice, but that's fine. That's my only concern really with, I wish there's more turnovers. I saw 3 of them, and I believe it was like either the third or fourth quarter. They pretty much all happened in the second half against Kent State, which was good. I want to see that against Toledo, but I like our defense. They're the reasons we're staying in games. Whereas like NIU, our offense didn't really show up. 7 points is not a great offense by any means, and they only gave up 17. So our defense is 100% the reason why we've stayed in a lot of these bigger games, especially. And I hope that continues for Toledo, but we'll see. We'll see.
To your point about sacks, Bowling Green is ranked second in the MAC, only behind Northern Illinois, who sits at 22 sacks on the year. So I think that's a very, very valid point to bring up. Sack yards, Bowling Green actually leads the conference in sack yards with 129. So when they're getting to the backfield, they're taking the guy down. And that's nothing to sneeze at. Averaging 2.71 sacks a contest. I'm very pumped for this game. I think Bowling Green has all the opportunity in the world. Again, the road team has won the last 3. Can the road team make it 4 in a row? We'll see this weekend. Got 2 things for you. I'm going to need a score prediction.
Again?
I'm going to need a score prediction. Well, I got 3 things, really. I apologize. I got 3 things. Going to need a score prediction. I'm going to need one nice thing about your rival. And then I'm going to want to know when I get my Joey Votto bobblehead from you.
Okay. To be fair, I remember when I was on the way there, but I was already an hour outside of Cincinnati, and I was like, shit. Hopefully it doesn't remind me.
Jules has had this bobblehead since, oh, goodness, April?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you texted me and said, I live very close to the team shop in Cincinnati for the Reds. And you're like, hey, can you go in and get this Joey Votto bobblehead? I think they're going to run out like the City Connect one. So I go in and get it without realizing we're probably not going to see each other in a while.
I paid you. I want to be clear. I did pay Jules for this. I did send her money.
He did pay me.
She's not holding it ransom.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So, man, I'll start off with the score prediction.
There we go. All right.
I want to say against Kent State, I was very close on it. I have text proof that I said the final score was going to be 34-6 Bowling Green. I was only 1 touchdown off. I was so close.
Okay.
I think if I did that math correct. Well, close enough. Or 30. I don't remember what I said. 30 something to 6. So I got the 6 right. So I'm my objective, unbiased, okay, score prediction. Am I allowed to say this? Is Bowling Green going to cancel me?
I don't think Bowling Green will cancel you if you're just being honest.
I think it'll be a very close game.
True.
And I think it'll come down to the final minute.
Possibly.
But I think Toledo wins 30-27. That's
wow.
my prediction.
I am calling Scott Leffler right now.
Don't do that.
I'm saying, Scott, listen, your girl Jules just said y'all are losing this weekend. I'm going to text him right after we finish this.
Don't.
And
I don't. I think we have a chance. I'm concerned about the fact that we have been really just focusing on Fannin Jr., who was amazing, but you know damn well Toledo's like, we have to stop him. That's not to disrespect the rest of the team by any means, because there's obviously like Terrion Stewart, he's been injured and stuff. So that's also part of the issue as well. It's kind of just like, I'll compare it to women's basketball. If you stop Caitlin Clark on the Iowa team, you don't really have to worry about many other people. And that's kind of, that's my comparison. He's like the Caitlin Clark of the Bowling Green Falcons. And I'm afraid that Toledo has a game plan and they're going to be able to execute it, although it's not easy to stop him. I think that's definitely our key to the game. I think Bazelak, if he continues the momentum against Kent State, but that would also mean the O-line has to do just as good of a job as they have been doing, because they're as healthy as they've been since the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously defense is a key to that too. I think it could go either way. I keep saying that because I'm saving my butt, because I don't want people to come say, oh, you said Toledo's going to win. You have to consider they're at home. And that's all. I know, like, the way is fun. I just feel like that is not. I feel like it's a possibility that Toledo may win by 3 points.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
Last minute. I hate to say that. It pains me. I am not overly confident, and if I say that, it's going to come back to bite me now, because everyone's going to be like, "You didn't believe in your team." I always believe in my team. But I'm also looking at it objectively and based off of research that I did on Toledo. And I hate Toledo. I'm sorry. I do. But
it's amazing, guys, that she even talks to me, if we're being really honest here.
So, yeah.
Okay, Jules. So last thing before I let you go. Something nice about Toledo, and it can't be the classic, oh, your colors don't look that bad. Or
no, they suck. Your colors suck.
Has to be a genuine, true compliment about the Toledo Rockets. Go.
Oh God. Oh no. I don't know. I need a nice. Is a score prediction not a compliment? Like, come on.
No, that's just a fact. Dang. We need a compliment.
I gotta think of one. I'm trying to think of your women's sports. Can it be like a sports compliment?
It absolutely can be a sports compliment.
Well, I don't even know who they're returning. So maybe I shouldn't say that. You're not Miami, so I can't compliment softball. They're always so good. I don't know.
Miami softball is always fantastic.
Miami softball is so good. I wouldn't watch them play like so badly. I've never been to your football stadium, so I can't really compliment it. One thing about Toledo, I'm trying to think. Can I say something about like the city? The Toledo Mud Hens, they're fun.
The Toledo Mud Hens are fun, but that's not the Toledo Rockets. It has to be about the university.
Okay, I think the little. Am I allowed to say that? I'm gonna diss my school again. I think the thing is funny that they have the little rocket thing that's pointed at BGSU's football field. I think that's funny.
It's a cool piece to the rivalry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, I don't like it, but I think that's kind of funny. Like, I would love to do the same thing, but we're birds. They're not that intimidating.
Is the Falcon out in front of the Stroh Center not like pointed towards Toledo?
I think it is, but like, I don't know. Falcons are kind of scary. I'm gonna look up.
Falcons are terrifying.
How big are they? Because I mean, I just have the mascots in my mind.
Right. Ooh, no, that's fair. Well, you guys heard it here first.
Are a little scary. They're kind of cute.
I'm just gonna tell the world. You guys heard it here first. Jules, known BG lover, says Toledo's going to win this weekend, and she simply adores the rocket pointed at the 50-yard line of Dwight Perry. Jules, thank you so much for joining me this week. Where can people find you? Where can people find your stuff? I know that you run a podcast called Two Girls, One Natty. Still waiting for my invite. I'm sure it just got lost in the mail. Well, or it's actually the invite's with my Joey Votto bobblehead, isn't it?
Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
Man. I'm going to open the box and it's going to be right there on top of the styrofoam. But Jules, tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, and check out your content.
It's pretty simple. Instagram is Not So Cool Jules. Twitter, which I would highly recommend because I have funnier thoughts and I do better looks, I guess. Not So Cool Jules. TikTok, I don't really get on that much anymore. which is also not so cool, Jules. And I'm not giving you guys any more information because that is where I'm public.
You don't want people to follow your podcast?
Oh yeah, and the podcast.
The thing I just talked about.
I'm sorry, short term memory loss, I guess. I'm just so excited for Bowling Green to actually upset you guys because anytime I say that, which I want to explain myself. First of all, it's 2 girls, 1 natty. 2 girls, 1 natty. N-A-T-I, by the way. Not however other people spell it. Same with Cincy.
Not
but
N-A-T-T-Y.
Yeah, there's a whole other conversation for that. But anytime I say Bowling Green is going to win in any of my score predictions except Kent State, but that's different. That doesn't count.
That was different.
That literally doesn't count. Like they should have won. I'm always wrong. So therefore I'm doing like reverse, like a reverse jinx. And I'm saying that Toledo's going to win because the like football gods are going to hear that. And they're going to be like, never mind, Bowling Green's winning. But like, you didn't hear that though, because it's a reverse jinx. So that didn't even happen. You did not just hear that. Erase that from your memory. Toledo's totally winning.
The best part about this whole show is you've provided me so many sound clips about how much you love Toledo, and I'm so excited to share those with the world.
I hate Toledo. I hate Toledo. Your colors are ugly. The mascot isn't cute. At least we have cute mascots.
Well, we can agree to disagree, but we all know that I'm correct. Anyway, Jules, thank you so much for joining me this week. I really appreciate it. Guys, stay tuned. Up next, I'll be talking to Dan Savage live from the Midnight Blue and Gold podcast, a fellow Toledo alumni and super fan who, let's be honest, he loves his clickbait on the Toledo Rockets just as much as some of these Falcons love their clickbait on Bowling Green. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be checking in here with Dan in just a moment. Hey everyone, Alex the Captain. Just wanted to come back to you guys and let you know this episode is going to be a little bit abbreviated. Unfortunately, I lost the data for the interview of Dan Savage from over at the Midnight Blue and Gold podcast, but I will be linking their podcast this week to this episode, so check it out in the bio. Again, I want to apologize. I don't get the full episode I wanted. You guys still will be getting content from Dan.